1949, and the Cold War is getting underway. Troops trained to defend Western Europe, and the United States joins its allies to set up NATO. In London, the year opens cold, and with the city still gripped by post-war austerity. Smog shrouds the streets, and although there is a hint of better things to come when clothes rationing is abolished, the country is stunned when the pound is devalued, sending basic food prices up. There is turmoil in the financial markets, and the government exhorts British firms to take advantage of devaluation by launching a massive export drive. One unlikely figure who listened to the government's exhortations was a 69-year-old widow, Olivia Durand Deacon. She had been left wealthy by her husband, who had been colonel of the Gloucestershire Regiment, and had been living comfortably at the Onslow Court Hotel in Kensington's elegant Queensgate for many years. Mrs. Durand Deacon had had the idea to produce artificial fingernails from plastic and was looking for someone to help her exploit it. One of the hotel's other permanent guests seemed just the man, a dapper and friendly 39-year-old businessman named John Haig. Always cheerful and well-dressed, Haig drove a smart Alvis motorcar. He told people at the hotel that he was the owner of a prosperous small factory in Crawley, about 50 miles south of London. When Mrs. Durand Deacon approached John Haig about her idea, he was extremely interested. He told the entrepreneurial widow that he would look into the type of material which would be needed for the fingernails and find out whether the necessary equipment could be accommodated at his factory. Haig consulted his diary, and they agreed to go down there on the 18th of February to discuss the project. Haig arranged to meet Mrs. Durand Deacon outside the Army and Navy department store and drive her down to Crawley in his Alvis, but he later claimed that she failed to turn up. Nevertheless, Haig drove down to Crawley that day. He had been a regular visitor for several years and was known in the town. At about 4 o'clock, he was seen at the George Hotel in the center of the town, having tea with a lady of a very similar appearance to Mrs. Durand Deacon. 2.5 hours later, he popped into a nearby cafe, the Old Ancient Priors, for an egg on toast and a chat with Mr. Outram, the proprietor. Later, at around 9:30 in the evening, he went back to the George for dinner. After enjoying a hearty meal, he drove back to London. The next morning, Mrs. Durand Deacon was not at her usual table for breakfast. Expressing surprise, John Haig asked another guest, Mrs. Constance Lane, who was rather less enamored with him than some, if she had seen Mrs. Durand Deacon. To his consternation, she knew all about their appointment, and he hastily explained that Mrs. Durand Deacon had failed to meet him as arranged. Later that day, Haig drove back down to Crawley. While there, he visited his premises and sold some jewellery for £110. He also left a Persian lamb coat for cleaning and called in at the George for a meal. As usual, he was quite open about his presence in the town. Meanwhile, Mrs. Lane had checked her friend's room and found that it had not been slept in. When the next morning Haig asked her if she had any news, she announced that she was going to the police. This took Haig somewhat aback, but he recovered sufficiently to offer to drive her to the station in his Alvis. At first, the police didn't take the disappearance very seriously, but a sharp-eared agency reporter phoned the story to an evening paper, and soon it was being widely reported, and a search was mounted by Scotland Yard. Haig's first interview seemed unsuspicious, as he explained that Mrs. Durand Deacon had failed to turn up at their rendezvous. Back at the hotel, he confirmed his story in a lengthy statement. But routinely following up his story of the trip to Crawley, police were surprised to discover that far from owning a factory down there, he only did some business there and occasionally used a small storeroom. The police decided to question John Haig again. He was interviewed a third time by a policewoman, Sergeant Alexandra Lambourne, who took an instant dislike to the little man. He seemed too eager to please. Nonetheless, he repeated his story without any apparent inconsistencies. Back at the station, she wrote a report saying that she felt uneasy about him and suggesting that his background should be investigated. Haig complained to the press about police harassment. However, it turned out that Sergeant Lambourne was right to be suspicious. He had a long record as an accomplished conman and had in fact been in prison 3 times for fraud, forgery, theft, and false pretenses. With what appeared to be a promising lead, the local police at Crawley were asked to check Haig's story again, and they went back to the head of the factory with which Haig had done some business. It was then that he suggested that they might like to look in the storeroom that Haig used. On the 26th of February, 2 detectives accompanied him to the small yard in which it stood. The yard still exists today, close to the center of Crawley. The only set of keys had been lent to Haig, so the detectives prized open the door. At first, the interior seemed quite ordinary, with various tools and tins, bottles and rags. But then some more unusual items started to turn up, such as a pair of heavy rubber gloves and a rubber apron stained with chemicals. There was also a wartime gas mask, some empty acid containers, and some corroded metal drums. When they found a revolver, the detectives knew they were onto something, and this was confirmed when they found a number of personal possessions, including jewelry and a handbag containing a cleaning ticket. The next day, it was discovered that this was for a Persian lamb coat, which had belonged to Mrs. Durand Deacon. Immediately, the police went back to the Onslow Court Hotel and were waiting for Haig when he drove up in his Alvis. He was brought in for further questioning and seemed quite unconcerned, dozing off while waiting to be interviewed. When Detective Inspector Shelley Symes asked him where Mrs. Durand Deacon was, and then revealed that the police had found her jewelry and coat, he only seemed to hesitate briefly. Then Haig launched into an extraordinary story, admitting that he had taken her belongings. The detectives warned him, but he went on. Mrs. Durand Deacon no longer exists. She has disappeared completely, and no trace of her can ever be found again. I have destroyed her with acid. You will find the sludge that remains at Leopold Road. Every trace of her body is gone. With no trace of emotion, Haig described how he had shot her and then put her body into a vat of acid to dissolve away. As he spoke with pride of the way in which he had planned and carried out the murder, it became apparent that Haig was confident that without the body, the police would never be able to convict him. Throughout all his interviews, Haig was to show no remorse or concern for his victims.
John Hay, the acid bath murderer, will continue on A&E. Change is taking place all over America. Big change. Because now you can call anyone across America for just 8 cents a minute on calls over 10 minutes. All day, every day. Just dial 1010-321, and you can talk as long as you want to the people you care about the most. You don't have to sign up. Just dial 1010-321, then 1 and the number. It's that simple. 8 cents a minute on calls over 10 minutes, day or night with 1010-321.
Now you can save money anytime you make a phone call. Save on weekends, weekdays, holidays, mornings, evenings. Save on every single call. And you don't have to dial 1010 anything. You just have to call Office Depot.
Yeah, and I need a 3-hole paper punch. Yeah.
Call 1-888-GO-DEPOT for a free catalog. Office Depot. Low prices every day.
Biographies got the rebels who revel in the spotlight. Movie Mavericks Week begins tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific on A&E.
They're the people you thought you knew and the people you want to know more about. The all-new Biography Channel. Step out of your life and into the lives of movie stars and moguls. From their most dramatic on-screen performances to the untold drama of their lives.
Every night, you could live another life.
Movies, biographies, and documentaries 24 hours a day. The Biography Channel. Call your cable operator or satellite provider.
John Hay now returns on American Justice.
Haig's confidence that the police would never find a trace of the widow's body was soon rudely shattered by the forensic skill of Dr. Keith Simpson. Starting inside the storeroom, he found bloodstains which matched Mrs. Durand-Deacon's blood group. Then he turned his attention to the weed-covered yard and found the spot where Haig had emptied the sludge. Soon he picked out a stone about the size of a cherry. It was the first of 3 human gallstones. Covered in fat, these would have taken weeks to disappear completely. Everything in the storeroom was taken away, together with boxes of sludge-soaked earth and the corroded drums. The crucial discovery was a set of false teeth which had not decomposed. They belonged to Mrs. Durand-Deacon. As the evidence against him piled up, the police were finding out more of Haig's background. He was born in 1909 to parents who were strict members of the fundamentalist Christian sect, the Plymouth Brethren. All entertainment and sport were banned, and the boy repeatedly threatened with hellfire. As he grew up, he reacted against this strict upbringing and developed into a smooth and charming conman. He became an expert forger and committed many frauds, sometimes impersonating a lawyer. In 1934, Haig got married, apparently as much as a means of escaping some of his victims as for any love for Beatrice Hamer, a former photographic model and waitress. Less than 4 months later, he was sentenced to 15 months in prison for fraud and never saw his wife again. Shortly after his release, Haig started working for William McSwan, running an amusement arcade. They split up when Haig had to go on the run again, but years later, in 1944, when Haig had moved to wartime London, they met up by chance. McSwan's mother asked Haig to help her son evade military call-up. Haig had long been fascinated by the idea of committing the perfect murder, so he agreed. On the pretext of arranging a hiding place, he took McSwan to a basement flat opposite Gloucester Road Tube, where he bludgeoned him to death. After allegedly drinking some of his victim's blood, Haig disposed of the body in a vat of acid and put the remains into a drain. This was Haig's first experiment with using acid to destroy a body, and he soon used the same method to kill McSwan's mother and father. Having got rid of the McSwans, Haig used his skill as a forger to get control of their money and other property. Amazingly, none of his letters aroused any suspicion, And so successful had Haig been in disposing of the bodies that it was only when he admitted to these murders during questioning that the police found out about the appalling crimes which had been committed in the Gloucester Road basement. He was now convinced that he had found the way to commit the perfect murder. When his cash ran out, Haig looked around for further victims. He picked on a wealthy doctor, Archibald Henderson, and his attractive wife Rosalie, whom he met when they were trying to sell a house. Haig spent several months becoming firm friends with the couple before he was ready to act. By February 1948, he had found another slaughterhouse, and the Hendersons agreed to go for a weekend to Brighton with their devoted friend, Johnny Haig. And while there, Dr. Henderson agreed to visit Crawley to see Haig's factory. He was shot, and Haig then lured his wife to the storeroom, killed her, and disposed of both bodies in the acid. Once again, he claimed to have drunk his victims' blood before disposing of them. He then forged a series of letters to get control of their property under the pretext that they had gone to South Africa, leaving him as their trustee. Such was his skill that neither their friends nor the banks ever suspected anything, and attempts were still being made to trace the Hendersons in South Africa a year later. Within a year, this money was running out, and Johnny Haig had picked on his last victim, Mrs. Durand Deacon. Another container of acid was ordered. The news that Haig had confessed to 4 more murders created a sensation. As the police searched the cellar at Gloucester Road and followed other information which Haig seemed happy to give them, they found it hard to accept that in each case he claimed to have drunk the blood of his victims. All police efforts to prevent this information leaking out to the press failed. And the news inevitably proved a sensation when Haig appeared again at Horsham Magistrates' Court to be remanded for trial. People found it hard to believe that the dapper little man who had confessed so willingly to the police was a vampire.
John Hay, the acid bath murderer, will continue on A&E.
Introducing the new Encore Movie Channel, the only channel that promises you a great movie every night, guaranteed. So call 800-210-4000 for the new Encore Movie Channel and a great movie every night, guaranteed.
Announcing America's newest tire store, your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer. They have just the brand name tires for you. Tires designed and built for your Ford, Mercury, or Lincoln. All at competitive prices. Now the best place to get tires is from factory-trained technicians, the people who know your car best. Quality care service, the right people, the right parts, and always the right prices at participating Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers.
Need a number, but don't know the exact name?
It's Pizzeria. You left your wallet in my cab.
What's his name again?
It's Pizzeria. You left your wallet.
Instead of 411, AT&T customers can dial 00.
AT&T Double O Info, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm looking for someone. I think that his name is Pizzeria.
I have a Zaria in Brooklyn, a Pete-Zaria.
Oh, that's it.
AT&T Double O Info can connect you at no additional charge.
Magic, you know. Hey, diddle diddle, I'm stuck in the middle, so hot, but color me cool. Take me to my place in the sun, so bold and beautiful. How do I keep one step ahead to know when I've arrived? To paint the picture of my life with the colors in my mind. Say hello, where to go, whatever you want to know. Ask how, ask now. Ask Sherwin-Williams.
Great documentaries, great movies, great lives. The Biography Channel Sneak Preview, August 15th on A&E. John Hay now returns on American Justice.
Haig went for trial on the 18th of July at Lewis Assizes. Crowds queued overnight outside the courthouse to try to get a seat and packed the street to watch the participants arrive. A coach brought many of the witnesses. Mrs. Constance Lane, whose suspicions at first alerted the police, was a vital prosecution witness. The trial was held before Sir Travers Humphreys, one of the most celebrated criminal judges of the era. Early in his career, he had been one of Oscar Wilde's defense team. As always, Haig was immaculately dressed and seemed totally unconcerned as he was led into court. The prosecution was led by the Attorney General, Sir Hartley Shawcross. He immediately set out the full details of Haig's macabre confessions during cross-examination of Detective Inspector Shelley Symes. Symes emphasized Haig's belief that without a body, murder could not be proved. Dr. Keith Simpson was then called to tell the jury that he had been able to find incontrovertible evidence of the killing of Mrs. Durand Deacon during his examination of the storeroom and the yard outside. Step by step, the jury was told how the unsuspecting widow had been lured to the storeroom and shot. How Haig had made meticulous preparations for disposing of her body with acid, and how he had carried this out over several days. They heard how he had shown absolutely no remorse and seemed proud of his craftsmanship. Throughout the prosecution case, Haig sat doing crossword puzzles and showing little interest. At no point did his defending counsel, Maxwell Fyfe, attempt to cross-examine any prosecution witness. He had decided that Haig's only hope of avoiding the gallows was to be proved insane. When he opened the defense case, he immediately stated, "The disorder of mind which I submit has affected the reason of the accused is that rare but quite well-known type of mental aberration which is called, in psychological medicine, pure paranoia." A leading consultant, Dr. Henry Yellowlees, was called to testify to Haig's paranoia. He proved unconvincing, several times rattled by questions from the judge. Maxwell Fyfe was unable to repair the bad impression made by his only defense witness. In cross-examination, Hartley Shawcross forced Yellowlees to admit that Haig must have known he was doing wrong. The judge's summing up was scrupulous in setting out the defense's theory of paranoia, but the jury was unimpressed. On the 19th of July, they took only 13 minutes to find Haig guilty. He was sentenced to hang for the murder of Mrs. Durand Deacon. In the days before his execution, he again made headlines by asking for a rehearsal so that there should be no problems with his hanging. The request was refused, but at 9 o'clock on the morning of the 10th of August, Haig was executed without any difficulties. A crowd of several hundred waited outside the gates of Wandsworth Prison to see the official notice of death. Meticulous to the last, Haig donated his favorite suit and tie to Madame Tussauds, so that his effigy should be as dapper as he always had been in life. It is still on display there today, as a reminder of one of the most cold-blooded and remorseless of British murderers, who was trapped by his own overconfidence and the forensic skill of Scotland Yard.
Charles Manson, son of Sam, the Boston Strangler. Some of the most infamous criminal minds of the 20th century, explored in the series American Justice. Call 1-800-423-1212 to own a collector's set of the best of American Justice. 14 episodes packaged in this special 4-video cassette collection for $99.95, plus $5.95 shipping and handling. Call now, 1-800-423-1212.
Introducing the new Encore Movie Channel. Now you'll get recent, big hit movies. So call 800-210-4000 for the new Encore Movie Channel and a great movie every night, guaranteed.
The Acura Integra, equipped with a race-proven 16-valve twin-cam engine. So it can take you just about anywhere. Quickly. The 1999 Integra from Acura.
Sam and Margaret are living a comfortable retirement. A retirement free of financial worry. They live the life they want to live. Spend the money they want to spend. And it's all because you left your credit card statement in the garbage can and they stole your number. So from Sam and Margaret, thank you.
Prevent credit card theft with a paper shredder from Office Depot. Office Depot, low prices every day.
As a husband, marriage wasn't exactly life on the prairie.
An absolute failure.
But his final battle with cancer left behind a legacy of hope. Michael Landon on an all-new biography special. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific on A&E.
Romance.
Do you love Smashing Pumpkins?
Are you kidding? I love to do that.
Action. Aliens.
Oh, cut!
This summer.
Be sensitive above all, because in the scene, Daisy's going to take off her blouse.
Only one movie has it all.
I look like an action star.
Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin, Bowfinger.
Would you be willing to show your naked rear end in a movie?
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday.
Hey, how you doing? Looking good.
Now you can follow your team no matter where you live. With up to 13 games a week, you can follow your team all season long. NFL Sunday Ticket. We've got your game.
So, you just come here often?
A&E. Escape the ordinary.